Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Jaxon AI Weekly Deminar. I'm Zeb Egbert, VP of Growth here at Jaxon, and we're going to do a little bit of a twist on our weekly Deminar. Normally, we show a demo of our product. Today, we're going to focus on the top 10 must-know terms, AI terms, for 2026 in 15 minutes. We're going to try to get through a lot, but through our conversations with our clients and prospects and people in the market, they're asking more questions about let's define terms and what is AI versus just the tool itself. So we decided that this week that we will focus on giving you a little bit more terminology and the must-knows this year to kick off 2026. So let's get into it. So first big thing is LLMs, large language models. Definition, again, a large neural network has many layers. It's been trained on vast amounts of information. It knows a lot based upon everything it's been trained on, and it's a great predictor. It generates lots of language, and most of you have probably used ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, etc. If you're on this Deminar, LLMs are amazing, super powerful, but they are not the most accurate. So again, super powerful. The key innovation there is the transformer architecture. This allows for self-attention. It allows it to understand the relationships between words and almost act like a mentalist. I don't know if you've seen some of the YouTube videos out there around the hot mentalists that are out there, and they can guess what people are thinking. LLMs can do it even better. They can truly predict what's going to be next. However, when they don't know, they also provide you information that just may not be true. So LLMs, super important. And as we move forward into more specialized small language models are also important. Small language models are usually used in specific domain applications. Organizations will use those within their own confines for speed. They're cheaper, they're faster, more controllable. However, they lack the flexibility and creativity that a large language model will use, but super important and super applicable in the corporate world. So, great thing about LLMs, they're ultra powerful and the speed is unmatchable. However, they hallucinate. They are not using logical reasoning, and therefore you can't trust them. I think all of us have heard some type of situation where things have hallucinated in the market relative to just using blank LLMs. They're not to be trusted. They're not only good liars, but they're also really poor liars when it comes to deceiving you. So we got to have a little bit of a better understanding of what hallucinations truly are. And so again, when AI confidently produces information that's incorrect or fabricated or just can't be supported, that's considered a hallucination. They're not bugs. You cannot blame the output generation for that. It's just a natural outcome of the probabilistic nature of their training mechanism and the way they were trained. They're trying to guess what you're thinking, which is all good until things need to be validated or verified. So one thing that they do, and this is a term that's newer to the market, it's sycophancy. And this is where the AI is so confident that it agrees with you as the prompter. You're going to ask a prompt, and it actually wants to reinforce the user's beliefs. So again, you're going to see this term more and more in 2026. Again, AI wants to be helpful. And I think this is also the benefit and the curse of using straight LLMs. It wants to please the prompt or the prompter, making it exciting to use because you prompt it, it gives something really relevant. But think about that in, let's say, a therapy session. You ask a question and all it does is want to please you, not necessarily tell you the truth. So this is a great term as number 3 that we're going to be heading into 2026 to keep your eyes on, because it's going to pop up a little bit more and more. The other thing too that a lot of AI is things that are happening is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is actually a term that you're actually seeing more and more in job applications. You probably saw it more last year and even in 2024. Prompt engineering was going to be the big thing. The definition, again, it's crafting the input to help guide the AI behavior and outputs. This is great, and it does potentially help guide the output, but it's influenced, the prompt is influenced, but it doesn't guarantee outcomes. Another term you'll hear in the prompt engineering is context window. Context windows are a set amount of text that can go into a prompt. And again, this is where prompt engineering comes in. You can be very specific, but it's limited in what it can provide as an output and input, and therefore it's not verifiable. So again, prompt engineering, important to know because you can modify the inputs, but don't be so sure that that output is going to be a guaranteed, have guaranteed alignment to what you're trying to seek or what is truth. So let me go into a little bit more of the Jaxon solution, and we're going to weave in these terms as part of the Jaxon solution, and that is we're coming to the table with blending natural language and using the power and the speed of LLMs, but also using symbolic reasoning with solvers. The SMT solvers are critical for us to turn the prompts into formal methods or proofs or math, basically. The way we do that, the integrating component, is DCell. DCell is our proprietary language that takes basically what the machine is using for natural language, turns it into math, and then solves the math, and then comes out with a verified output of that prompt or what was prompt. So it's critical for us as we move into a verified form of AI, because it's going to be so important for 2026, that there is formal reasoning, symbolic reasoning in your approach to AI. A little bit more to go a little bit deeper is it's the logic layer. And that's probably an easier term to be used. For us, we're using AI within code rules and policies. We call them policy rule guardrails or rule set guardrails. We take the coded rules, we apply the symbolic reasoning, formal methods of math, all leveraging our DCell language, and it comes out with a verified output, which is allowing us to work in highly critical, mission critical, and also high-risk applications in the market and in production. Next term, number 5, guardrails. This is a term that a lot of people are using or were using last year. They're continuing to use it this year. We're going to put a little bit of a flavor and spin on guardrails, but basically guardrails are rules, constraints, they're checks that apply to the outputs, but sometimes even the inputs, to make sure they limit either safe, could be incorrect, or just some type of undesirable behavior. You see this again on different behavior with chatbots. If you look at different hallucinations or where AI has gone wrong, search that up in YouTube, and you'll come up with 100 applications of where AI went astray if there's not some type of formal guardrail. Now, guardrails alone don't solve the problem, but if they're applied correctly, they can truly help shift from a creative assistant to more of an operational system to allow you to have a little bit more productivity and production within your use case. Number 6, RAG. A lot of people have used RAG, and it's a great term, and they have advanced RAG quite extensively in the market. It's retrieval augmented generation. Again, definition, it's a technique. We call it a guardrail, but it's truly a technique that retrieves external and internal documents or source data. This allows the LLM to focus on or use only the relevant information when it's processing a prompt. It does improve grounding. It is, and companies are coming out with various versions of RAG, and it is very good and used. But you cannot necessarily rely on retrieval for verification. Those are two different things. And again, the LLM will work better with a RAG application, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% verified, information on the output. So keep that in mind. It's very important when it's applied, but it doesn't get you to a verified AI, which is going to be the term of 2026. A little bit deeper in guardrails, in RAG, as we mentioned. RAG starts on the far side, and it's still probabilistic. There's still hallucinations, no matter how good it's being created or designed or even trained. There's still going to be potential hallucinations. As we move over to the right, LLM as a judge, you're using probabilities on probabilities, basically, when you're building those types of guardrails. Again, it heightens and increases the ability to maybe get to a better probabilistic outcome, but not deterministic. Knowledge graphs, you're going to hear that this really came hot last year. Those actually have a system better understand the relationship between knowledge or data, or helps visualize the discovery of information within an organization. You're hearing more and more large organizations actually build internal knowledge graphs for the use of AI, and you're moving more to a deterministic but not quite verifiable AI. And then finally, symbolic reasoning. This is where Jaxon plays. Jaxon plays in the symbolic reasoning of taking all these applications, potentially, because they can be layered upon, and then actually uses formal math, as we showed earlier, to come out with a verified output. Again, our decel technology and language allows us to come up with that symbolic reasoning. So I've been using deterministic, probabilistic a lot. Deterministic, the system always produces the same output. The probabilistic system does not. Even the best probabilistic systems I saw in the most recent benchmark, maybe close to 80%, 85%, some that have layered multiple guardrails on them, could even get to the 90s and even 92, 94 level. But in a high-risk application or mission-critical application, in any kind of regulated markets, government, DOW, you cannot rely on even 90%. It's not good enough. And so again, this is very important as it relates to how we move forward into AI in 2026 and how we can help create a more deterministic approach to the market. Number 8, neurosymbolic AI. This is Jaxon's sweet spot. We were out to the market as an organization sooner and earlier than most organizations. If you research neurosymbolic AI, it's still in research for most organizations. We're actually deploying neurosymbolic AI within, again, the DoD, the government, and in the commercial settings. This is going to be a key term that everyone's going to follow in the future, so keep your eyes on this. Again, this approach combines that neural models and neural networks of the LLM and the symbolic logic of rules and constraints. We apply this in a lot of different ways. One could be applying this to rules and regulations in the mortgage industry, or underwriting insurance, or maybe evaluating a bond or a corporate bond that has thousands of pages of information. Neurosymbolic will get you to that deterministic approach and have a deterministic outcome so you can be verified. This could be verified and audited as a part of using properly the design of neurosymbolic AI. So again, this is the Jaxon approach. We've built the bridge, moving from pattern matching, that probabilistic, to deterministic, to actually solve with math that outcome to determine, is it verifiable? Is it not verifiable? And we have evidence to show that. Or is there an unknown? And we're happy to have that unknown. That tells us that that's the last mile for our underwriters or our analysts to maybe dig in a little deeper to pull them in. But we feel confident that the rest is deterministic and they have a good insight into the information provided. This is a little bit more about our approach and the language itself around decel. We'll hold off on that. We'll move forward to more of just the overall policy base And what I wanted to show here is that an agent can be built. Agents, and we'll get into that here just a second, agents are called the future digital employee. That's scary for some. For others, not so scary. I view digital employees as my helper. I would love to have 10 digital employees helping to support what I'm working on. Digital employees don't replace, they support, they augment. They're helping us speed up or increase efficiency and productivity. So again, AI systems, and agents, they can plan, they can take actions as they're set up by design, call tools like APIs to help us move towards a goal. However, with agents, with the increased autonomy, again, there are risks that without verification and guardrails, they could actually tell you something that's either false or not verified, or push something through that is completely wrong altogether. So this is our workflow. Again, this would be an agent workflow that we work through. We call it prove, parse, reason, orchestrate, verify, and enforce. And as you get to know Jaxon a little bit more, we can go through this, but this allows us to be consistent in our approach in working with clients. And the number 10, and I said 15 minutes, so I think we're at 17 minutes. Number 10 is verification. This is going to be the biggest term for 2026. AI verification, and the bonus, auditability. So verification is critical. It's the process of checking whether the AI output actually follows given data rules, constraints. Could be policies internally to an organization. It could be external regulations. But when you're processing data or information, is it actually following the rules? That's where Jaxon steps in. We feel like AI, without it being verified or auditable, really lacks the actual benefits you're seeking in full production as an organization. Why it matters? Again, the verification separates plausible answers from the ones that can be defensible. And again, mission critical, high risk, regulated markets, you need defensible actions that you're taking and information to support those decisions. One key area that validates this is we just recently did a benchmark by our good friend Alec Hoyland. He's a machine learning expert and engineer here on staff at Jaxon. Just did this neurosymbolic benchmark against RAG. And as we're looking at consistency, correctness, and clarity, and we put Jaxon and our neurosymbolic guardrails against GPT 5.2, 04 Mini, and then also Gemini 3 Pro. Jaxon hit all the marks on consistency, correctness, and clarity. The consistency, correctness, and clarity on the others did not. But what's interesting, and what's on the full benchmark study, is completeness, as defined as completing the prompt with an output. All of them were complete. And that goes to show completeness is a success factor, but it also can be used as a risk signal when all the other things like consistency and correctness and clarity are not there or missing. You need to make sure that just because a prompt has been completed with an output and it looks semi-good or even really great, it doesn't mean it's accurate. That's where Jaxon AI is moving towards, from a deliverable and working with our commercial and also federal and government clients. So I mentioned this too, the bonus, auditability. The EU is coming out with their own standards for AI, and it's going to lead with one, being able to be verified, verifiability. Last is auditability. It must show, traces, explain, and reproduce how did your AI models and systems deliver what they said they did, and what's the backup and documentation. This is going to be critical for 2026 to be verified and make it auditable. AI, if you're currently using AI and you don't have some type of verification and auditability feature we would love to talk to you, understand how you're going about your process and workflows, and show you some ideas around how we potentially could help you have items and outputs that are traceable, auditable, and you can actually drill down into why is AI making the decisions and giving me the prompts and or giving me the outputs that it currently is. So again, we can codify the rules, we can take the inputs, and then we can actually produce verified outputs and verify what the LLMs have produced and provide that audit trail that potentially the regulators are going to want to see here shortly. So for the market today and at Jaxon, we want it to be your models, your data, your rules, and we want to help you make sure that you're using AI that's verifiable and also auditable. So we look forward to potentially working with you. Please reach out to us. We'd love to show you, one, our benchmark study that just came out, and also better understand how we potentially could co-innovate with your current workflows on helping them be AI verifiable and auditable. Thanks so much, and we appreciate you sticking with us. And we're going to continue the weekly Deminar next week. Talk to you soon.